All right, movie lovers. Solo, a Star Wars story is coming to theaters near you, and we better go pick up some stars from the movie, like Donald Glover, like Ron Howard, the director, like who else? Woody Harrelson, and of course, and Chewie. And we're gonna talk to him right here on Black Tree TV. Y'all just stay tuned right here. We up in this Millennium Falcon, yeah.
Push it! So glad we took this job!
So, I always do research on whoever I'm about to interview, and I was familiar with your acting, but I started looking at the list of directors you work with. You got Francis Ford Coppola, the Coen brothers, Woody Allen, Warren Beatty, and Ron Howard. So, I mean, 1 + 1 got to equal. Like, there must be something great about working with you that allows all these great directors to have you be a major part or a lead in their films. Like, can you tell me about your relationship with directors, or how do you initiate your bond with the director?
Yeah, well, to me, it's always, that's the most important thing, I think, by far. I think the director really is the author of the movie. And my feeling is, no matter what happens, if I'm working with a great director, then I can't lose. Even if the movie comes out and no one sees it, or it doesn't come out particularly good, you still learn so much from working with people who are masters at their craft, and that's been the great joy of my working life so far, is learning from those guys.
Here they come! Well, let me give you some advice. Assume everyone will betray you, and you will never be disappointed.
One of the greatest directors of all time. I've always been a fan of you, from the actor to the director. And I got to ask, because now you go back 40 years, you got your directorial debut with Grand Theft Auto.
Right.
What would you want to tell the Ron Howard today? What could you tell that director to help make a better film than he did then?
Wow. Well, I would say take some more risks in terms of reaching out to people. When I was younger, I was a little intimidated, even though I'd grown up in the business. I was a little bit intimidated to reach out to people who I thought might judge me. And so I tended to work with a smaller group of people who are also basically rookies and inexperienced, people that I would trust and feel that comfort with. Now that's good, but if I had the experience, I would look back and say that's not as important as you pushing yourself, and go ahead and put yourself in a position where you might say something stupid, but you'll learn faster. Working with even more elite, experienced minds, and if you have the courage, they'll respect that and work with you.
I loved you as Cookie. I'm sorry, I'm out of breath.
Oh my God, Gridlocked is great.
Gridlocked was great.
Loved Gridlocked.
My first question to you is, you worked with Tupac Shakur in Gridlock. What I thought was his best acting job.
He was so full of soul, because he was so like who he actually was in our movie. Away the swagger and the anger and the tension gone. He was just this really bright, deep poet, but with real humor and soul. Yeah. He was a lovely, lovely boy.
He came in at a time where a lot of rappers were getting, discredited for acting skills because they were getting parts because of being actors, but he came from a performing arts high school.
He did.
Like Donald Glover. And I want to know,
That's
do you see any similarities in them as young actors growing up and being artists?
Yeah, that's really deep actually, darling, making that connection between Tupac and Donald, because Donald has what Tupac had without the self-harming element to what Tupac. There was some self-harming stuff just in his vibe. There was an anger there, which his mother from the Panthers. I mean, this stuff, we carry it in our bodies, right? What our parents have been through, what their parents have been through, and there's a softening over time, and I feel like Donald has all of that energy and charisma and charm and you know. So I think we all in life are inheriting from the generation before us, and it's how we make good on that, on their persevering, no matter how messed up their lives were, and ours as a result. It's our duty to go forward and be better. Yeah. Isn't it? Do you think?
Nice. I'm glad we're having this conversation.
Yeah, it's
This
your
is
duty.
Very good.
It's your duty to go forward and be better.
No, philosophically, that's an important point you're making.
You see, how'd you guys let me beat you on that one? Come on. There's no liars in this game, just players.
The seat taken?
Nobody's in the seat that I ain't taking from.
So this is Sabak?
Sabak.
Sabak. Got it.
You played before?
A couple times, yeah.
Captain Lando Calrissian.
Han Solo. Looks like you're having a good day.
I'm a lucky guy.
Can I ask you a question, Captain Calrissian?
Anything, Han?
It's Han, but that's okay. I heard a story about you. I was wondering if it's true.
Everything you've heard about me is true.
Billy D. Williams has a lot of female fans from his 50, 60 years on film. And I want to know if any of have you been getting like a lot of cougar love? Because I require this.
Well, funny you should ask.
He's still in his pajamas.
I rolled out of bed from last night's premiere, not at my house. It's funny because like my mother is like a big fan of Billy D. So like I think I've been getting a lot more like don't like try and be as like big deal as him in that movie because like he was just like the shit like in that movie. So yeah, I haven't. I've definitely got a lot of like people like oh like the flair of it has rubbed off on me, and I think that's partly due to him, like just like that character is so iconic as far as like having that kind of feel. So I couldn't help but be a part of it.
Get ready.
Thought we were in trouble there for a second, but it's fine. We're fine.
What a pleasure to be with you guys. I really respect your craft as actors and the franchises that you guys have been a part of and influenced and put your talent into. So my first question is, you guys are both in multiple huge franchises. I mean, even if you count Terminator and Game of Thrones and this huge, and you in the Avengers MCU and this, how do you deal with the fandoms of those franchises, which are like kind of their own creatures?
For me, they've been. I mean, they're who we make those movies for. And they've put bread on my family's table for all these years, and so I'm hugely grateful to them. But as far as how do I deal with them, I don't deal with them in any way except to try and be respectful and have a real interaction when I meet them. When I'm in a place where we're
interacting,
crossing over and trying to have a real, actual human experience, which is difficult in those circumstances because they're usually quite heightened, weird moments like last night. They're not normal experiences.
And people are very emotional over you right now.
I know. I'm gonna have to leave town, man.
Yeah.
Good going on. We need to divert auxiliary power to the rear deflector shield.
We definitely do.
When do you know how to fly? 190 years old? You look great.
Chewie, get in. I'll help Lando.
Joonas, you're doing a great job filling some big shoes, and you actually got big shoes. So, so I mean, how does it feel? I mean, Peter Mayhew, a legend with this part. Like, I mean, that's a big role to fill, and a complicated technical role to fill as Chewbacca. So, tell me, how did you get the confidence to do this?
I think I just went for it. I've always been the kind of guy who imitates my basketball teammates and tries to observe how people behave, because behavior is the window to the soul. I don't know, but yeah, I've always tried to do and perfect my movement awareness. And when this came on, that they were looking for Chewbacca, and I got the call. Am I interested to try out for the role? I immediately said yes, and started practicing and going through Peter's performance as Chewbacca, and that taught me a lot.
I also read that you're a film buff, and I'm wondering, like, what, for a lot of people, it was Star Wars for another generation of people when they first seen it in the 70s. But what movie did you first see that really, like, opened your eyes to the other side of the camera of being an actor?
Well, I think the first thing I really saw that really made me think about movies a little more seriously was The Godfather. I saw it when I was 12. I read the book, and there was something about that just had, I think also for a little boy, you're just like, think these dudes are so cool, you know, and I wanted to be Sonny Corleone, and that's why, you know, when I got to do my first movie for Francis, it was such a dream come true, because I got to sit there and ask him all these questions and stuff.
Having this story and having Donald Glover and all these great actors in it, how rewarding is this for you with all these other films you have under your belt to direct it?
Really rewarding, because it's such a cool, dynamic young cast. And I feel like I've made friends with these people, and it stimulates me. And so, you know, as a guy who's been around, you know, it's exciting for me to be working with a generation of talent that I think has so much ahead of them, and in a way could inspire me. And I felt like I had something to offer them as well. So I thought there was a nice mutual give and take there that I really enjoyed. I had so much respect. Alden, such a hard worker, so dedicated, so intelligent. Donald, remarkable creative force. One thing I really like about Donald, and I relate it to a few other actors I've worked with, is that he's a great writer. And then when I found out he started off as a writer first, it made total sense to me. Tom Hanks is like that. Steve Martin's like that. Russell Crowe's like that. These are people who kind of think like writers, and then they can plug themselves into it. And I saw that with Donald.
In this movie, you were obviously in love with a robot.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously.
You're the only person who's just been able to say that straight up.
I know, like, everybody's like, there's this relationship around.
And
you're like, dude, you fucking a robot. like,
yes.
Why do you think people in real life worry about who people love? And I mean, they've targeted you for that. Like, but why do you think people care like who somebody else loves?
Because I think who you love intrinsically becomes a part of your identity, and like that's all we have really at the end. It's like your identity. So and people want to be able to define your identity. It's part of our nature to define people's identity, because then you can shun them, you can judge them, you can do whatever, because it's like, I know all I need to know about you. I know everything. So I feel like, yeah, that's just part of it. And I don't hate on that. Like, I think it's just, just part of it. And yeah, like loving a robot, like, yeah, like I think love is always going to be the greatest thing you can do, but as long as it's not selfish, as long as it's not like, a selfish thing. I love our relationship on the ship, because
it feels like a real relationship as well.
Yeah, it doesn't feel fake.
No, because sometimes it's the biggest compliment in the world when someone doesn't patronize you by being careful with you, that they're just rude to each other, but I can totally imagine them just staying up all night and chatting and getting high and chilling out.
Yeah, and laughing at each other.
She's like on her oil.
Great job, guys. I love y'all stuff, man. Keep doing your work, is genius.
No, thank you, man.